Hi, my name is Magdalena. I am a indie multi-chrome sparkly eyeshadow lover from Canada, and I wanted to do a little video talking about some of my favorite wearable, neutral, and neutral adjacent eyeshadows. So for this video, I have 24 of my current favorite neutral and neutral adjacent eyeshadows. I'm going to go through them and swatch them. They're organized currently by brand and by collection. So I'll go through that. And then I'll do a couple of comparisons at the end. Yeah, let's get started. This first shade is Synth from Lethal, which has a grape purple base and shifts from aqua, turquoise, blue, indigo, maybe a bit of purple. This is a pretty balanced formula where it has some sparkle, but it's still quite smooth, not too emollient, not too dry. Just a really nice all-rounded shadow. Next up is Fata Morgana. This is from the Seeking Shifts and Shine by SD Earthborn collection. Now, this collection is, it has two formulas in it. There's one that is incredibly sparkly, full of multicolored sparkles, very dimensional, and one that is more satin. So I will mention a little bit about each one as I get to them, but this is the more dimensional one. So this has like a warm tan base and shifts from a blue, kind of like a turquoise blue, to a true blue, to an indigo, to a purple, pink, peach, and a little bit of gold. It's really pretty. One of my absolute favorites. This whole collection are my favorites. I think they did such a good job with them. Also from the Earthborn collection, we have Sundog. Now this one is the more kind of satiny base, really good for layering, but such a unique color. It has kind of like that true mauve, purpley blue gray base, and then it shifts from like a pinky red into an orange, gold, and green. It's a very interesting color, but surprisingly wearable. Continuing with the Earthborn collection, we have Crown Flash. This is just like the standard spicy neutral kind of shade. Has a kind of sheer tan base, and then it shifts from a pink into a peach, gold, and green. This is part of that very sparkly formula that some have, with all the multicolored sparkles, which my camera's kind of picking up, not the best, but it's just a really pretty elevated sparkly neutral shadow, and I wear it all the time. Then we have Verdigris, also from the Earthborn collection. This is probably one of the most popular shades from the collection. It has a kind of like grayish base and shifts from a pink into a peach, gold, and then a very strong green, and a little bit of like a turquoisey blue-green as well. This is very similar to Break of Dawn, which I will be swatching later on, and which I will compare at the end of the video. And you can see this one has that more sparkly finish as well. Last up for the Earthborn collection, we have Fauna, which is a like dark brown base with a gold into green into like a turquoise and blue shift. Another one with that very sparkly dimensional finish. Next up is the shade Moonbeam from Shine by SD. Now this is a very complex shade, although it really doesn't look like it. My camera's not doing it justice at all. So this shade has this kind of tan base, and then it's got like a coppery golden color. It's got some turquoise, it's got some pink. It's also got a lot of these dimensional sparkles, which are, looks like a green and pink, which then shifts into like an indigo and like a maybe turquoise, white, gold. It's just incredibly dimensional shadow, and my favorite shadow to wear recently. Really, really stunning. This is the shade Starlight from Shine by SD. This is a part of the same collection as the last one, so it has that similar tan base and then dimensional sparkle to it. It picks up a little better on camera, and I don't think the sparkles are as dimensional in this one. So it shifts from like a gold into a green, turquoise, blue, and then it's not really picking up on the camera great, but it also goes into a purple. Let's see if I can, maybe a little bit, not really picking it up. And then it has those dimensional sparkles starting with that kind of green and gold, and then there's like the purple and blue at the flip as well. Next up we have Mysterious from Shine by SD. Now this is part of their Hidden Gems collection, which are significantly more inexpensive than a lot of other shadows. So this one has that kind of like grayish black base, and then it's got a pink and a like gold into a green, maybe a little bit of like a turquoise shift to it, and it is very, very dimensional. You get a lot for a very inexpensive price with this one. Not to be confused with Starlight, here we have Starbright, also from Shine by SD and the Hidden Gems collection. So this one has a tan base and then shifts from a pink into a peach into a gold and green. Again, this is really dimensional and has that low price point, so definitely worth it. The last Hidden Gem shade I have here is Palm Angel. This one has a much more sheer, almost iridescent base, at least on my skin tone. And then it shifts from an icy pink into a pink, into like a kind of coppery gold, and then green and turquoise, and is very dimensional, just like the last ones. This is probably my most worn shade next to Moonbeam lately. So next up we have Break of Dawn, which is by Shine by SD, and like I said, I will do a comparison with this in Verdigris at the end. So this one has kind of like a tan olivey green base, and then it shifts from like that cool pink into pink peach, into that gold green, and a little bit of turquoise even, I would say. This is a pretty popular shade of theirs, and I understand why. It's a really nice one. I feel like I say it's a really nice one at the end of all of these, don't I? Next we have Reserve number 2 from Shine by SD. Now this one definitely needs some kind of tacky primer on it. It's quite dry, quite flaky, but it's incredibly sparkly. So it has a little bit of a kind of sheer peachy tan base, and then it shifts from like a true gold to like a warm gold, into like a turquoisey color, maybe a bit of blue. It's very dimensional. This whole Reserve collection is also quite inexpensive. Here we have Charm, which is part of Shine by SD's newest collection, Sparkle Lights. These are incredibly dimensional, incredibly sparkly shadows. This one has kind of like a sheer tan base, and then it shifts from a pink into a gold and green, and then like a turquoise with all of those multicolored sparkles in it as well. Incredibly dimensional shade, incredibly beautiful, but also incredibly wearable. Last, for the Shine by SD shadows, we have Glow Up, also from the Sparkle Lights collection. You can see this one is very dimensional. So this has that kind of like yellowy mustard tan base, and then it shifts from a blue into a like turquoise and green, and then into a like indigo and purple, which of course my camera is not really picking up, but it has all of those gorgeous multicolored sparkles all throughout it, and just looks juicy and wet. This is the shade Baroque from Cleona, part of their pearlescent multichromes, which have a very smooth but high impact finish. So this is like an icy pink, almost even a purple, into a pink, into a peach, and then gold and green. And it has like a kind of a sheer pinky brown base. Next up we have Renaissance, also from the Cliona Pearlescence. So this one has a pink into peach into gold into more of like a yellow gold shift. And then it has a very pink base. Last up for the pearlescent multichromes, we have Palettes. This is probably the most shifty of the collection. And this one has kind of a softer pink base. And then it shifts from cool pink into like a peachy pink, into like a gold and green. Next we have Royal Plum, which is part of Cliona's Earth Vibrant collection, which happens to be my absolute favorite collection of theirs. So this one has a very dark purple base. This one has that full rainbow shift from purple to pink to peach to gold to green to turquoise. So a little bit of everything, really pretty. This one's very dark compared to the other ones, but I do find it can be pretty wearable, especially if you sheer it out a little bit. So kind of a grungy wearable color. Another Earth Vibrant. This is the beautiful Cobblestone. This one has like a brownish gray base, and then it shifts from that cool pink into pink, peach, gold, and green. This one's pretty popular and one of their most wearable shades, if you ask me. This is the shade Royal Pear, which is another one of the Earth Vibrants. And similar to Royal Plum, it looks very, very bold, but it can be sheared out, and I do find it to be surprisingly wearable. So this has that grass green base and then shifts from that cool pink to like peach, like an orangey, and then into a yellow and green. This shade is Line of Queens, which is one of the newer shades from the Glitter Vibrant line. So this one has that like dark plum base, and then it shifts from this kind of like peachy pink into like an orange, into a yellow, into the green, and then like turquoise. Next up from Cliona, we have a glitter type multichrome in Opulent. So this one has kind of like a burgundy base, and then it shifts from that kind of like peachy into a gold, into like a green, turquoise, and blue. And lastly, we have Adornment, another glitter type multichrome. This one has a soft pink base, and then it shifts from a like gold into like a greeny gold into a turquoise and blue with a bit of indigo that my camera, as usual, is not doing a great job picking up. Okay, so here we have Verdigris and Break of Dawn. So you can see Verdigris is a little bit more cool toned, and the base is definitely stronger and cooler toned. But as also the shifts, I think, are a little more cool toned. So if you are looking for more of a true neutral, Break of Dawn is probably better for you. If you like something a little more interesting, a little more cool toned, then Verdigris would probably be your jam, but they are both very similar. Next up we have Sundog, Line of Queens, Royal Plum, and Mysterious. So you can see these all have some similarities, but are completely different, both in textures and in shifts and base tones as well, although the last three are quite similar in base tone. Here we have Moonbeam, Charm, and Reserve number 2. These are all very sparkly dimensional golds, but as you can see, they are very different. But if you're looking for a sparkly dimensional gold, any one of these are great. Here we have Fauna and Starlight. This is definitely the more wearable, and Fauna is more bold. Last comparison, these are the pearlescent multichromes. So this one is Baroque, Renaissance, and Palace. Now there is also a third one called Scepter, but I find it to be too warm toned for me, so I don't wear it as often. You can see that Renaissance is definitely more warm toned than the other two. The pink in Palace is quite bold, and then Baroque is a very cool toned, almost like purpley, very icy pink. You can see the bases a little bit. They're all very wearable, but they do have very different undertones, so if you don't want to get all of them, you definitely could just get the one that has the best undertone for you. And that is the video. Thank you for swatching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!